Hi, it's Kshamica MD. If you've recently taken an antibiotic or if you're on one now, first, I'm sorry to hear that. Second, it's very important that you replenish your intestinal flora and you get it healthy again, you get your gut healthy again, because antibiotics do affect your gut. And there are things that you can do immediately to help that. Quick recap on antibiotics. Antibiotics kill bacteria. Our body houses a lot of bacteria all over the place. Specifically in our gut, we have about 300 to 1,000 different types of bacteria in the actual gut. And the functions of this bacteria, they really do things to help us. A lot of the good bacteria, they help us to digest food, they help us to synthesize vitamins, they help us to fight other invading pathogens, other bad bacteria, they help us to create neurotransmitters and many, many other functions. So the bacteria is very beneficial to us. Now, when you have an antibiotic, the antibiotic doesn't necessarily know what's good and what's bad bacteria. So oftentimes it's killing the bad bacteria, but it's also killing the good bacteria. This is why it's very important, if you are taking an antibiotic, to find a way to replenish the good bacteria that got killed during your antibiotic treatment. Now, if we are taking an antibiotic, especially a broad spectrum antibiotic, we definitely want to restore the good bacteria back in our gut as fast as we can for several reasons. One, the good bacteria does those actions that I mentioned before, all the helpful actions it does for our body. So we want to replace the bacteria for that purpose, but also we have a ratio in our body of bacteria and fungi. There's a ratio that when our bodies are healthy, that's what it is and everything's fine. But if our bacteria levels go down and Candida, which is a fungus, Candida, the ratio is higher, Candida is a very opportunistic fungi, so it begins to populate and reproduce very fast, and we feel the negative effects of that. First in the digestive tract, but then also throughout the whole body. So these are two good reasons why you want to restore your healthy bacteria back as fast as possible. So, what can you do to repopulate the good bacteria that your antibiotics killed? First of all, after your antibiotics, there are still some good bacteria floating around in your intestinal tract. So the goal is to feed that bacteria and take care of them so they multiply. You want them to multiply and multiply as fast as possible so you regrow and you have more of the good bacteria. How do you do this? You do this with prebiotics. What that is preferably organic, but it's raw vegetables and fruit. Raw vegetables and fruit have a high concentration of insoluble fiber, and this pretty much creates a good framework for the good bacteria to grow and multiply. So you can usually accomplish this eating one large salad every day with varied vegetables. And throughout the day, you can have vegetables, fruits, nuts. Think in your head about 80% raw food during this time, and that's going to be essential, and that's really going to help the existing good bacteria that survived multiply and populate and come back to the intestinal tract. The next thing you can do is completely avoid all processed sugar. Processed sugar helps feed the bacteria, helps feed Candida as well. It also helps feed the bacteria that your antibiotic is trying to kill. So just completely eliminate processed sugar, and while you're at it, eliminate processed foods, starches, artificial colors, flavorings, even the artificial sweeteners. Avoid even really sweet things like molasses, honey, agave. Stay away from them. And I did tell you to eat fruits and vegetables. before, but eat more vegetables. Even a fruit with high sugar content, you don't necessarily want to choose that if you have a choice. Stick to vegetables mainly. Remember, you're eating like this for a purpose. It doesn't have to be the way you eat for the rest of your life or even months to come. This is a specific purpose to build up the good bacteria and make your intestinal flora back healthy again. So if you can think of this as a treatment or something you must do, mentally it'll help you change the way you eat and stick with it for this limited amount of time. The next step is for you to take probiotics. Probiotics are foods and supplements that actually contain themselves good bacteria. So the actual food comes with good bacteria. But please know that all probiotics are not created equal. For example, yogurt is often touted as a food that has probiotics, but if you get a very commercial, sugar-laden yogurt, that's not actually going to do your gut any good. It's actually going to do more harm. The issue about probiotics is it's actually hard for probiotics to get into our system. So when we swallow them and it's on our stomach has a lot of acid, which kind of tries to destroy some of the probiotics. So the trick is you have to take a lot of probiotics to actually get probiotics absorbed into our system. Fermented foods have a lot of beneficial good bacteria, such as homemade sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, coconut kefir, and many other fermented foods deliver these good bacteria that we want, and also comes with usually a host of helpful enzymes and other nutrition. So it's a great way to get the probiotics in. Probiotic supplements also help. Just be very careful and discerning when you're looking at what you're purchasing, because you want to make sure that the probiotic will actually pass through that stomach acid and get to you. Usually if you compare it, store-bought probiotic versus homemade sauerkraut, the sauerkraut is going to win because the store-bought probiotic, very little is going to be absorbed into your system, but there are some very high quality ones out there in the market. Just pay attention and find one that's a very high quality, and then maybe you would get the same effect. But if you have a choice and you have the time, do the homemade or find the fermented foods from a health food store or someplace that you know is healthy. But remember that prebiotics are actually much more important than the probiotics. So load up on fresh greens, fresh vegetables, and throw in the fermented foods. That should do the trick. Remember that 80% of our immune system, 80% of our entire immune system is based in our gut. So when antibiotics are killing the good bacteria in the gut, they are severely affecting our immune system, so it even weakens our existing immune system. So you really want to feed and repopulate that good bacteria in your gut as soon as possible. As soon as possible, start right away. This is Kshamica MD from KshamicaMD.com. Hope this was helpful. Thank you.